All right, y'all. So we're about to get into the tea because it is hot. But before we do that, we got to talk about this group trip to Vietnam, March 14th through the 20th of 2026. I want you to be there. If you have seen our trips to Bali, to Thailand, to Zanzibar, and our upcoming one to Cape Town, you don't want to miss this one to Vietnam. People ask me, why did I choose Vietnam? I mean, look at it. We got good pricing in terms of the currency conversion, so the dollar takes you further. We got beautiful landscapes and we got great Vietnamese food and shopping. Plus, 3 cities. So we're going to be running around this country looking all types of crazy and all types of lit. And we got a 2 day luxury cruise, y'all. A 2 day luxury cruise. So I need you to go ahead and make your reservation today. Go ahead and make your deposit today. You can put it on a payment plan. Click the link in the description. Now we can really get into this tea. Hmm. You is a snaggletooth, stringy haired some or something. Y'all, let me tell y'all something. Last night's episode of Potomac was interesting. First, in that I didn't see it last night. I watched it this morning. And y'all, I ain't gonna even have to lie. The whole scene with Gizelle and Keirna, I had to get myself together. So my apologies, y'all. Anytime somebody talking about their father and that father passed, it just gets to me. So we'll get to that part in a second. Thank you guys for waiting in the chat. I've been trying to reanalyze this scene, this moment right here with Angel, and I thought to myself, let me just try to see if I can understand. His agent, his financial advisor, and his mentor called him on three-way to say that I had stolen money from his account and that I had hidden birth control so that I could get pregnant by Bobby without his knowledge. Okay. So we got a little scandal going on, y'all. We got a little scandal with Angel. All right. We got a little scandal with Angel. We're going to get all the way into it. Before we do that, let me make sure I put you guys on the screen. The chat is on the screen. So please don't say nothing crazy. Don't say nothing crazy. Somebody said that the video is freezing. Let me know. Let me know if the video is still freezing in the chat. Can you hear me and see me clearly before we proceed? Yes, indeed. Okay. Thank you, higher up. All right. So look. Okay. Y'all said it's fine now. All right. So so much happened, y'all. So much drama in the LBC going on with this show. And I think it's because we got so many new girls, right? I think we got so many new girls, and sometimes it feels like last night it felt like Jassi was kind of auditioning for a spot on the show. Whether she wants it or not, I think the moment with Tia was just a little bit much. I do think that there is a place where Jassi is probably, and we'll get into the why, but there's a place probably where Jassi is maybe extra sensitive about her relationship, especially as it relates to this show. So I can see a world where she would be overly um where she would be overly, I don't want to call it insecure, but I just feel like it was a bit much for the moment when we see Jassi go off on Tia. So we're gonna break down the biggest moments of the episode. I think the first moment that we need to talk about is the ladies on the boat. Of course, Gizelle has planned another yacht day for the ladies while they are still in Nevis. And, she has a moment where she actually admits to Stacy that she's thinking that Stacy's kind of okay now. I think that Gizelle still probably thinks that Stacy's a liar, but she probably just kind of realizes that, you know, this is this whatever is Stacy is given is whatever she's given, and she's gonna be Stacy. Stacy is at the end of the day, I would say maybe harmless at this point because I don't think that any of her. I guess it depends on who you're talking about, right? If you're TJ, maybe she's not harmless. I don't know. But I would say for the sake of the show and what's happening on the show, she feels harmless in comparison to some of the things that we have seen on the reality TV stage, right? So there is that. Then the ladies sit down on the yacht, and Gizelle wants to know essentially what it is that Kay has against her. Why does Kay hate her? Right now, I know that we have all talked about this before, that it's kind of weird to most of us that, Kay has so much fire for Wendy and she doesn't have a lot of smoke for Gizelle. And we all kind of thought that that was a little weird because Gizelle was literally the person who was passing the tea along, right? But it then turns into, apparently Kay has had some things to say about about Gizelle too. Now, remember back when that argument happened between Wendy and Kay when they were just alone together and they were both like, you don't really like her. You don't really like her. You don't really like her. We know that they were talking about Gizelle. So now it makes a lot more sense why Wendy was saying, you don't like her either, right? Of course, Kay could say that Wendy doesn't like Gizelle because Wendy and Gizelle have had it out for each other for a little while now. Wendy probably was a bit over it because Wendy had laid her out flat back in the day. So it kind of was like, all right, water under the bridge now. But Gizelle, she kind of held on to that grudge for a long time, right? And so in this past season that we saw, they were on better terms. Now, and remember, they had that little sit down that we didn't really see a lot of, where they just kind of seeming like squashed over most of their beef. So now, as we play it all back, we understand why it is that Wendy is now saying that Kay doesn't like Gizelle either, because Kay felt like Gizelle, or heard that Gizelle said that Kay was the actual aggressor in the fight with Deborah, where Deborah allegedly popped her upside the head. Not allegedly, maybe. I mean, I guess there was some popularization with the bottle, right? So now so much that has happened is making a lot more sense to me now, right? So when Kay reveals this little piece of information that she feels like that she heard that Gizelle said, and I don't know who she heard it from. Did she hear from Wendy? Who did she hear from? Did she hear from Karen? Did Karen tell Kay that Gizelle said that Kay was the aggressor in the brawl with Deborah? That's what I want to know. So who told Kay that? Who do you think told her? Because I'm trying to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And in order to do that, we got to go back in time a little bit. So when I'll tell you I was reanalyzing these scenes, I'm reanalyzing because I have questions about some things that were not addressed in the episode. Number one, right, CCF freak, did Gizelle say that? Possibly. She didn't deny it. But at the end of the day, I think that Gizelle's rationale for not reaching out to Kay in that moment was accurately sound. Oh, y'all like the sweater? Thank you. Well, I think it was accurately sound. Gizelle, her father was going through literally at that point in time. So why would she even think to be checking on you when her father is going through and through and through, particularly if she thinks that you were the aggressor? Boom. Because you guys remember that incident, the night that incident happened, when we go back to that episode, Gizelle, I believe, had already left the party. I don't think she was even no longer there. So when Gizelle tells her, you were able to, you had to go and get plastic surgery for your incident, and my father passed. He is no longer here, right? It was probably one of the hardest hitting things that Gizelle has ever said on this show, because it was so based in truth, and it was such to me, I feel like while we don't get a lot of Gizelle's personal life, I felt like that moment, even though they didn't make that big of a deal about it, as a viewer, I felt like that was probably one of her hardest hitting reads that really wasn't a read because it was true, um, that she's ever said on the show. 'Cause it was unintentional. I felt like she kinda ate her up in that moment, and, she basically tells Kay, which is I think is maybe a bit true about Kay, that she also admits Kay is seemingly a high maintenance friend. And, I think that I don't think that Kay is being a lot of people thought that she was reaching when she was coming for Wendy. I genuinely think that Kay is a high maintenance friend. I really, really do. Again, she admits to it. And so, as a high maintenance friend, particularly when you are someone who is either married in a committed relationship, you have family that you are either taking care of, you have kids, or you have this whole other aspect of your life that becomes super important to you. So, you almost live in a little bit of a family bubble. Somebody like Wendy is probably not going to be able to give Kay the type of friendship that she is maybe searching for. And so it will seem to Kay that Wendy is paying you dust because Wendy is probably more concerned about other things than she is about you. And I think that also something that Wendy said later on in the show episode, she says, we all know the rules of engagement with this group, right? What Wendy is saying without saying is, we know that the dynamics of this show as a whole, that's what she's saying, right? And so as a result, we know that Wendy is also playing the housewives game. She knows what it is now. She's been on the show for a while. She knows how to maneuver in this space, and she does it really, really, really well. Really, really well. From everything to her looks and her confessionals to the opportunities that she's been taking outside of the show. And to a certain degree, I think that, or I wonder if maybe the friendship with Karen may have deteriorated because of Wendy's rise to where she is, or her growth in this space. Maybe it was a situation where she no longer needed to necessarily depend on the mentorship of Karen, and maybe that affected their friendship as well. Potentially. We don't know that yet because we haven't heard Karen speak on it. But I'm just thinking about how adult relationships go. I'm thinking about how what happens when you either get into a relationship, a serious relationship, and your friendships are affected, and people just start to feel like maybe you're moving a little bit different. It's because you are. All right. It's because you are. You have to. That's really the only way this would go. Right. So until we have a sit down conversation with Karen to find out some of these missing plot points, I yeah, I think we'll just be left with some unanswered questions, but I'm definitely here to ask those questions when I see those plot holes. Okay. So when I think about these shows, and this is why I can't review every single show. I would love to, is because I want to be able to get into the nooks and crannies of the show to really understand it. I'm just not that interested in every show. I mean, I'm just not that I'm not that invested in OC. I'm just not. I wish I was, right? I'll catch little bits of it here and there, but it's like sometimes, when people ask me, are you going to recap a show? If I can't give the show my energy, then I won't recap it. I will just maybe watch it, or I'll watch the clips. But I can't give every show this level of thought and input. And even though it's my job, but it's just hard, right? All right. So look, we got that going on. So I'm gonna tell you what was and somebody pointed out, Kathy, you said I love Tia. Doja says I think Tia gets it too. Tia in this episode was pure magic to me. Pure magic. Let me tell you why. When she came back through and she reconciled this situation with Keirna and Gizelle, because Keirna was crying, I think, at that point afterwards. She had words with Gizelle, she had words with Wendy, and I just think that she was probably at her breaking point. I do think that Kay is being 100% herself, as annoying as it may seem to the viewer, I think that this is where she is. And again, she admits, this is how I feel. This is how I feel. I can respect that. I don't necessarily like it for you, but I can respect that this is where you are and you're standing 10 toes in it. But when Tia comes back around and she says, listen, I've lost my father. And when you lose a parent like that, you don't need to expect anything from Gizelle for the next 3 years. Because, and I'm going to tell you the truth, and I wouldn't even know it unless I had been through it myself. When you lose a parent, and it changes you for a very, very long time. Okay. I'm just going to let you know. And for those of you guys who haven't gone through it yet, I pray to God, like, that you just have a soft space to land, when it happens, right? Because it just utterly makes you just almost feel like you're walking in a nightmare for a while. You will. You really, really will. And as you have days where you feel like you're over it, you have days where you feel like, okay, I'm good, I'm chugging through. And then, but there still always feels like this cloud is over you, because there are remnants of the life that you used to have with this person, that your mom or dad used to have with whatever parent passed. And as a child, you also have to now, you want to step in and sort of figure out how you can help. And it's a thing, man. It's a thing. So when Tia came in with that, and she also, I think she did a really good job of validating Keirna's own feelings, but she was able to mitigate that situation, to me, in such a real way. It almost felt like I was not watching a reality TV show in that moment. I felt like I was watching a very real life moment. Yes, Dana, your entire world completely changes. And I want you to know, for those of you guys, because I see your comments, it's not just you. You're not alone. You may feel alone, but I'm telling you, you just don't ever, you don't feel right for a very long time. And I don't know if you ever do again, but it's like knowing something you did not ever want to know. That's the best way that I could put it. So that scene right there, I absolutely loved it. Obviously it made me emotional watching it, but just to see it, I just felt like there was some magic in that moment that I'm so happy they showed it. I'm so happy they showed it. I'm so happy they had that discussion again. This, to me, this season of this show is all the elements of things that I love about a show, without it feeling too dark. And they still have all these moments of light and fun and shade and mystery and intrigue. So I'm really, really loving it. So kudos to Tia for that moment. But man, let me tell you something. It's not a couple of minutes later that Tia gets it again. Tia is on the receiving end of Jassi. All right. Before we do that, we got to talk about Stacey not attending Jassi's wedding. Apparently, Jassi asked Stacey to be like a maid of honor or something to that effect. And Stacey's like, I've got a family thing. And I'm like, in her explanation, she never explained what the family thing was. And she does a very interesting job of sort of glazing over it. And she's just like, I've just, and I love when she says Arabella, it's just Arabella. I mean, the name, it just, it's something about the way she says it. I can't really, it's just like, I didn't hear nothing else but Arabella. She makes it seem like she has something to do with her "Can I bust" line or something like that. But I mean, I really, it's kind of murky. But Gizelle again comes through with the read in her confessional. She's like, "Listen, first of all, I did not know that Stacey and Jassi were like that. For her to ask you to be a bridesmaid, to me." Now, okay, I could be wrong, but it could be the smart play on Jassi's part. If I'm appearing on this as a friend on the show, or if I have a in on the show and that in is Stacey as my friend, I'm going to see if this wedding can be televised. So if I invite Stacy to be a part of the televised event, then a part of the event, then maybe the event will be televised. Now, I don't know if that's Jassi's thinking or not. I'm just simply estimating what a potentially smart person would do if they want to be on this show, right? So Stacy declining that invite almost puts kind of sort of maybe puts the kibosh on making that event televised. So when Gizelle points out in her confessional that Stacy did not know whether Jassi would officially be a part of this group, so she said, "Nah, boo, I can't make your event." And then later on finds out that, oh, you will be a part of this group. Okay, well, I'm so supportive of this man. I just can't be there. I don't know. But it was very interesting what Gizelle pointed out. Gizelle was just this is a very interesting phase that we're in with Gizelle, and I like it. I like it a lot. Mhm. I like it a lot. But next, when Tia mentions, and we talked about this briefly, when they were talking about the catfish, aka Angel, and my God, Angel is she's such a beautiful, you know, justice for Angel. She might be a little aggy, but I do feel like Angel is just a genuine, I don't know. She comes across like a very genuinely nice girl who is just like kind of in over her head. But I don't know if the way the streets are talking about her like she's a mean girl. Is she a mean girl in disguise? Like Monica's angel in disguise? What? Wait, not Monica. Brandy. Lord have mercy. I'm mixing angel of mine. Okay. And angel in disguise. All right. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. All right. Okay. Back to what I was saying. Tia, the catfish. She confronts Jassi in a very polite way about, hey, you said that my photos looked a little catfishy, but when I went down your Instagrams, you got a couple of catfishies too. And at that moment, Jassi does something very interesting. Jassi, they kind of go into whether, because Jassi's does she says, you know what? Most of, maybe some of, not all of, kind of, maybe 70% of, 50%, 30, I don't know, of my photos may have a little bit of a 90% kind of tweak, a little tweak here, tweak there, photo edit. I don't really know. But I'm just saying that it's kind of short. But 14 days before my wedding, you said that this man was looking at me funny. Meanwhile, this man is toothless or something. Toothless, but not homeless. All right. He is of the toothless and not homeless variety. Apparently, he manages something down. I don't know what he does. I can't recall now, but she flips the script so bad on Tia, and she goes slam off about this toothless but not homeless man that is apparently thinking that Tia is just, Jassi is just a beautiful woman. Now, as I was reanalyzing this scene right here, I said to myself, maybe Jassi is extra sensitive because, she's going through a situation with her man, and maybe she thought that if somebody said something about some man looking at her on camera, that he would get wind of it later because she wouldn't know how it was being portrayed on the show. I was trying to rationalize why she went that hard at Tia, but it really doesn't matter at the end of the day, because the way Tia diffuses situations, she's like, what are you going to do? Throw a glass at me? And then she really just continues on, right? She just presses on with what she was saying. She was like, I was being tongue in cheek about this whole situation. And I was trying to tell you that he thought that you were beautiful. That was really it. All right. And so she even apologizes to Jassi, and Jassi's like, well, okay, just don't be a shady bee. And Tia is like joking. She says, well, I do like a little bit of shade. And she says, I am offended by the way you guys are mocking my accent. And then she even laughs that off. That's like a joke to her. So I just like the way she mitigates some of the higher drama people in such a great way, in a way that almost feels a little reminiscent of the way Stacey does it. Stacey Stacey disengages and diffuses with deflection, which works for her. Tia diffuses with her genuine interest, personality, and directness. It is just very, very different because you have two people, Jassi and Keirna, also Ashley. When you gotta throw Ashley in this, because Ashley is a button pusher for Stacey, the same way that Keirna gets angsty and agitated with Wendy and Stacey, and Jassi gets agitated with Keirna and Tia. And I think that you're right, Newbie and Mahogany. Tia is good at de-escalating negative situations. Love it. Love it. All right. Now, we're at dinner, and we later leave the dinner because we're about to go and have a half-naked Ponderosa bachelorette for Jassi. And as the ladies are departing the dinner, Stacey and Wendy are on a cart with Jassi and Angel. Now, Jassi and Angel were previously having a heated discussion on the boat, and as I'm looking off to the side, I'm actually watching the scene right now. They're on the boat and they're discussing something, right? Now, by the time Stacey and Wendy overhear this conversation, the cameras are supposedly down, right? But there is some camera around, and it looks like the camera is on the golf cart, maybe. And we see a tidbit of conversation where Angel is calling someone a snaggletooth, stringy-haired, ugly, some to some, right? Now, this is the first time we've ever heard Angel really go in about anybody, right? So put a pin in this conversation, because the ladies then come out to play for Jassi's bachelorette party, right? And then it's game time after they do a little pat the punani and stuff like that, and gyrate on top of Jassi in celebration of her upcoming nuptials, which I don't think we will see. Angel coins Jassi as a big mouth during, I guess, whatever little game this is. And so the ladies are curious as to, well, girl, what are you talking about? What is the big mouth about? Now, I don't know that this would have ever come up otherwise. Wendy might have asked about it later. Stacey might have asked about it later. So I don't know if Angel was trying to beat them to the punch about it, or if she was trying to sort of maybe fit in and do her job and address something. But in this situation, it would have been better that you never said it. At least not in this way. Because we would have never known about this had you not told us. So now we have a $30,000, according to Ashley, $30,000 caper on our hands that we absolutely knew nothing about. And now we only know about it because you told us. So the reason why she names her as Big Mouth is I, I'm still curious. Why does she call her a big mouth? Jassi had not yet told anybody from what we could tell, unless Angel got wind that she did tell someone and wanted to squash the situation, but she doesn't let us know that. So we don't know. And as you were correct, Destiny, it was 10 years ago, right? So this is what apparently happened. What Jassi heard and what Jassi confronted her about in private was, hey, this girl or somebody has told me that you are just not a friendly person and that you will go out of your way, I guess, to make people feel uncomfortable and isolated and whatnot and woo-de-woo. And this person apparently firsthand saw you mistreat someone else. Now, what this now this apparent this incident stems from the WAG world, right? Whatever, whatever that world looks like or feels like, we don't really know it. So what Angel reveals about the girl is in question is that the girl, and this is why I would say you should not have brought this girl up, because now if this girl comes forward and tells her side of the story, now you got another whole issue that you got to deal with. So I would have just left it at nothing, right? Oh, it's just somebody talking, mean stuff about me, somebody that I don't like. Gadget Girl says that she thought that she had told Wendy. And she may have. She may have told her. But the problem with this situation is that if you were going to address it, then just simply address it and move on. But now you're addressing it and the group doesn't understand why you are overly emotional, which I get it. At the end of the day, you done been through it on this trip. You have been through it. You and Keirna have both been through it. But to a certain degree, some of your going through it is a mess of your own making, right? And Keirna is kind of like the blind leading the blind in this situation. Keirna is very new still. Like, she's been on this show for a season, and then she was a friend, but she hasn't really gotten her feet really wet like she's getting this year. So you can't trust her to lead you yet because she's still figuring out her way, as is evident by this trip and the fires that she continues to set with literally everybody. All right. So, to me, if Angel, in fact, you were going to bring it up because you thought that Jassi had told the people, then at this point in time, it would have probably been better for you to ask her privately, did she tell anybody? Or to pull her to the side. Because at this point, what is happening is now you're making this a group moment, right? It's a group moment for which, once explained, you can't even explain why you're upset. You cannot understand why, even when they ask you point blank, what's wrong? I don't know. Okay. Okay. I get it. I get it. So anyway, she reveals that there was this incident where I guess she was confronted by Bobby and his team, and they had accused her, or there was an accusation floating that she had stolen money, okay, and that she had apparently stopped the birth control or something like that in order to, get, impregnated by the man or whatever. Now, here's the thing. We know that. Nobody else has said that unless you told Jassi this too. Did you tell her that part too? And Jassi's looking like, well, she the person said that they saw you firsthand mistreating someone else. That's literally all that Jassi even reported at that point in time. Now, again, may Jassi have told Wendy? I probably believe that she did. Probably. Because Wendy wants to know at that point, well, what were you guys talking about on the cart? What were you guys talking about? Because unfortunately, at that point, you've already called this girl a snaggletooth, stringy-haired summer gun, right? And so, and you talked about how the girl is not attractive. So, Lord knows, I hope that the girl don't ever come and be like, you been talking about me online, I'm gonna talk about you. You know, because that's how these situations work. And it's like, oh my God, no, Angel, rookie move. Don't give that girl who this person that you don't like any shine on this show. Don't do it. Don't do it. Especially if we didn't know about it. And then why would you tell it if indeed this was the real scenario that the girl went back and told Bobby and his people that? Why repeat that? Why repeat that? Number one, the man still married you. You still married him. Y'all still chose each other. Problem solved. This was in 2016. It's not like you went to jail or nothing like that, you know. And furthermore, great question. Why tell the group? And she doesn't even think that the group likes her. So now everybody's looking at you like, girl, what's going on? Everybody's looking at this piece of information like, well, girl, I mean, this is what I think is occurring in Angel's head. I think that at this point, Angel feels like, I think she feels like she has a little bit of PTSD with regards to this group. I think that she feels like everybody is coming for her. I think that she now feels like I've got to get in front of things before they get in front of me. I think that she is anticipating somebody to drop a hammer on her. And so she's dropping her own hammer on herself. Well, that's also a good question too. Because when I rewatched the scene, and this is again, these are my questions. I'm so glad that you asked this too. How did Ashley? Because when I was making the thumbnail, not the thumbnail, because I ain't made that yet. When I was making the title, I was like, where did I get 30,000 from? Then I was like, oh, Ashley said it. It wasn't Angel that said it. How did Ashley know that? I would have to think that Angel probably told them the actual amount, and maybe Ashley said it instead of Angel. And listen, Destiny, I think it's partially Kay and Angel commiserating and trying to navigate this group. And I think that Kay's feelings would be a little bit more understandable if Karen were on the show. If Karen were on the show, Kay would have a solid foundation for which to also link her dislike of Wendy. But without Karen on the show to also give her that sturdy foundation, it just feels like Kay is just upset a lot. And so because Kay has set up little fires everywhere, I think that Angel is also has been chin checked into submission to a certain degree. And now she is being burned by those same fires that Kay has been setting, unfortunately. And there you have it. There you have it. So I do see a lot of people say, let this be so-and-so's last season. Let this be so. I don't think so. I think that this is what you want to see. You want to see people in these social circumstances try to figure it out. And they won't grow unless they get an opportunity to figure it out. Certain people, we thought like their first and second season, like, oh no, this is not it. But then now it's kind of like look at Stacey, right? Stacey, her first season, I don't know how I felt about her. I felt like she definitely gave presenter vibes, right? What do I mean by that? I know the type of person. I don't know Stacey. Let me say that. Just I think she's a beautiful woman. I think she's funny. I think she's hilarious. I don't know her though. So, but I can understand her persona given that I've worked with a lot of people in the world of TV news who present that same way that Stacey did her first season. So for me, her personality made sense from the get-go. Now that we're in season 2 and we've sort of seen Stacey swerve Matrix style around everything that these women have thrown at her, you know, um, people appreciate her a lot more. But I don't think she's doing anything different than she did last year. She's just doing it more. And we don't have TJ there to muck it up for her. I felt like TJ, listen, justice for TJ. I hope he gets whatever he is needed out of the situation. But he was a heavy, he was a downer for Stacey. And I just don't think that she needed him in that season. But without him, we wouldn't have the catalyst for understanding that whether or not we really trust everything that Stacey says or not. It is because of him that we now look at Stacey with a set of double eyes. We love her, but we don't always trust what she's saying to us, right? That's just it. All about those comments says you give some of the most insightful commentary, making us think about the psychology and archetypes that we are watching at play. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's why I love doing this at this point. I mean, I think when I first started this, I mean, it was just, trying to figure out my space in news, right? After I had stopped working at the news show. And I was like, what do I do in this space? I know I love housewives. I know I love the shows. Let's talk about that, right? But as I've gotten further and deeper into this, and it may be a hindrance for some people because some people just want the spicy, reads about people and stuff like that. And I'm not going to give you that because I'm not going to. A couple of things about me. One is this is who I am as a person, right? This is how I think about things. Two, I come from a news background, so the way I think of and process about stories is just how I think about it based on that experience. Um, Three, I think as you get older, you just kind of start to realize that, and you do this for a long time. It's just like it's certain things. It's like it don't interest me to talk about certain aspects of stuff that happens. I would rather look at the understanding of how it applies to us as people, what we're seeing on the screen, and how they interact with people in general. Because I think we could take something from it and apply it to our own real lives, maybe, right? Um, and then 4 or 5, whichever one I'm on, like I can run into these people at any point in time, right? So just for me, just either working in news still, right? I've had the instance where I have run into some of these people. So you also have to be able to stand behind what you said, right? So if I said something about you and that's how I felt, I got to be able to stand on 10 toes when I run into you and still mean it. And 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna tell y'all when I run into people, they will ask me about something I said, but then we end up joking. I mean, it just turns into something different. So I just know what it feels like to be confronted by some of these people that you're talking about. And it's like, yeah, I said it, but a lot of people at least they respect what I say because I don't think that they feel like I'm coming from a negative place, right? At least I'm not trying to. So and I like to criticize behaviors, not the actual person themselves. I'm not going to call somebody like an evil person unless I have had experience with that person myself and they were evil to me. But I haven't really had that. Would I ever go to BravoCon? I really don't have any interest in doing that. to be quite honest with you. I think it's a great event. I think it's a great idea. I think it's super um I think it's super exciting, especially to be able to be in the room with so many, of the people that we see and we watch. But I also think that I'm not a big fan of crowds like that. So it just doesn't appeal to me in that way. I'm not a fan of standing in line for anything, to be honest with you. I feel like since I had been a DJ before, just the idea of just doing certain things, I'm just like, oh, not that I'm too good for it. It's just that it gives me anxiety. That's it. That's pretty much it. Mm, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I need to be because it's just, I mean, this is supposed to be fun. We watch these shows for fun, and I know because I've done reality TV before. These people you have to be like, there is a certain level of balls you have to have in order to do this. So, also too, this is another thing too, because I do this for work. I'm talking about these people for a living, right? So at the end of the day, this is a part of the work that I do. Um, I'm grateful that they're on TV because that gives us something to talk about. And without them, I wouldn't know y'all. Right. Sort of, right? I kind of don't really think of myself as a journalist at this point anymore because um this to me is just it's more commentary. I think it's just commentary based on experience. Yeah, it's like crowds, man, crowds. Yeah, I think also that Stacey again, I think this is part of her news personality. I think that's all you also what you see with Wendy a little bit too. If you watch Wendy, especially in her confessional, you will see how very like poised she is. Like there is very little movement, and it could be the outfits, right? But if you just watch her, she's just seasoned at sitting in front of a camera and speaking. Um, no, 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 no. It just doesn't appeal to me as much. And I also recap shows. I think I'm also interested in the shows that I know that I feel like you guys would really resonate with. And when I recapped that show before, I don't think that many people really resonated with it. So I just kind of didn't continue on with it. OC has Tamara Judge, Beverly Hills had Lisa Rinna. Who would you say is Potomac's villain? I don't think we have one this season. I think that's why we like it almost. When you have a villain or someone who is wanting to be the villain, then what happens with every villain is this: a villain has to keep villainizing. And in order to stay that way, they've got to do more every season. And I think that at one point they were okay with making Gizelle that villain. And I think she was okay with it. But there comes a point in time where that villain role has a consequence for the show, right? And for that person. And I don't think that they wanted to put Giselle in that predicament. And I don't think she wanted to be in that predicament. I think Giselle wants to see the show thrive. I think she wants to see it succeed. And I think what she realized is that it's much more fun, it is much more fun when she is just the sort of fun troublemaker in the group, right? But she still knows that she's still got to be that OG that can rally everybody in the group. So I just don't think that they have one right now. I think that they maybe wanted Stacy to be it because they couldn't believe anything that she was saying, but Stacy is too likable to be a villain. I agree with this. Oh my God, this is such a deep question. A cathartic process this season. K. Right now it's K. I'm gonna tell you why, because she's having to figure it out in real time. And that's not easy for everybody to do. So I think she may come out of this better because of it. I think after the Candace situation for Gizelle, I think that it, I think it's partially not having Robin there, but I think that Ashley has now stepped into that Robin role to a certain degree, which I don't like for her. So hopefully we see a little bit of a separation between the two. Not that they don't have to be friends, but just a distinct personas, right? Um I just think that I think that there was probably some discussion about making sure that Gizelle stayed integrated within the group and stopped separating herself from people she didn't necessarily like. I would not have her host a reunion only because, she's been on the show, so I don't think it would be. I think it would be. Sh I just she would be shady for real. I mean, she would ask some, and she would ask some direct questions, but I would not put her in that position. Mm, I'm just seeing if there was any other questions. Um, so I think that Ashley wanted answers from Stacy, but the question is that you said, I mean, I think your question hints at this. Does Ashley deserve those answers? And I don't know that she does deserve those answers, but we do. Sometimes I feel like if you put a situation in front of us, but the problem with Ashley is that Ashley had so many questions about her own relationship that seemingly went unanswered for a very long time. So it just kind of feels like maybe right message, wrong messenger type vibes. Yes, 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 yes. I cannot wait. I cannot wait. All right. So anyway, that's the tea for today, you guys. Of course, um, great commentary with you all as always. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel, like this video if you like reality TV related content. And I appreciate you guys for stepping into the room today while we have this conversation. But it's time for your boy to get some other work done. So I will catch you all in the next video. Have a great Monday. I love y'all. Y'all. Okay. And I'll probably post about this in the community tab, but I'm gonna either do a live webinar on Tuesday or Thursday for anybody who wants to like become a content creator. If you have a business specifically, if you have a business and you want to start creating content specifically on YouTube, I will be having a webinar that I will post in the community tab so that you guys can register for it. And it's free. It's just free information. You guys can take it and do what you want with it. Obviously, I want you to, because I know that there are a lot of people out there right now who are um, had been furloughed. I mean, I don't know what's about to happen. Who are just dealing with all kinds of different issues. So, if you are looking for someone to help you get out of your own way with content, I'm gonna just lay out a plan for you so that you can follow that plan and you can start to not only make content but also generate revenue. So I'll put that in the community tab, or it will be in the actually I'll put it in the description of this video for those of you guys who are interested. Just give me about an hour and I'll have it up for you guys. All right. So with that being said, I will catch you in the next video.